Alright, we're skipping the morning to ensure we don't get slaughtered the first thing we get outside. So welcome back. First off, I wanted to apologize a little bit about last week. I came back thinking everything was back to normal, and as anyone that maybe caught the live saw, it was not. So again, I think I kind of mentioned it there, and I just want to make sure nobody thinks there's anything serious going on. There isn't. I got checked. I had like a procedure done the week before, like Friday on the 14th. Nothing was found. Everything's fine. It's just one of those things where, unfortunately, whatever symptoms I had or have, I mean, they haven't gone away. They still bother me from time to time. And I think I just had a bad reaction from getting done with it that Monday. And that kind of lasted those first 2 days. I'm not back to like 100%. I'd say I'm like 85 to 90 though for the past couple days. And I'm like, it's good enough for me to be able to come back again. But that's why there was no videos this past week. I was just trying to slowly recover. And even though I was good by like Wednesday, I just figured at that point I'd take the rest of the week to myself, kind of regather, regroup, and then we can come back full time this week. So anyway, I don't want to take up too much time with that. That's sort of the unfun, gritty part of this whole thing. So, I wanted to do actually what I was going to do last week. Initially, the plan for the live last week was that we were going to kind of take a tour and walk around the realm. I initially had thought about going live again to do this, but I realized I have a lot of stuff actually going on. The video came out today, so today, but tomorrow, because I'm filming this on Sunday, so I wouldn't actually be able to go live like I would have liked to. But I figured we could still kind of do this, and that way, if I stumble over words or fuck up, I can edit it out. But so the plan was, as I was saying, I just wanted to show off what we've done so far. We've done a lot of cutting in the past and just stuff like that. I mean, for all the videos, there's just 4 to 5 hours a video that goes in that I have to edit through. So a lot of the world's been seen in chunks, but not in full. So that's what this part was kind of to do, so that you guys can get a progress update as we're on our 38th week of this now, and kind of see everything as it was done. So that way we're not dwelling too much on that. I came back to the first town. This was, of course, my first house, the wizard house, that I spent almost like 10 episodes making. And I figured we could just kind of explore everyone's buildings and houses here. This was, of course, the biggest village that we probably have in terms of how many people were involved in it. I think there's up to like 8 different houses or people's like builds on here at this point across the whole realm. And I believe that this has 6 of the 8 people's builds. So we came out of my tower. We went into Harry's house. Honestly, I'm curious to know like how much of this stuff they even remember having. Because I don't think Harry's been over here in a long time. Like, I don't even know if he knows that he's got a whole diamond sword and armor set up there. There's the axolotl. This actually, they were talking about how they didn't have a lot of amethysts around. And he, like, built a whole basement of it. I wonder if he even knows that that's still there. See, Harry's house is... Oh, that's his mine. Talked about it a bit on the live, but Harry's house has always intrigued me because they're some of the most like weirdly complexly intricate and also simple designs out there, because the way Harry always starts them is he starts building them around something, it seems, and then he starts just to expand. Like when he first built this, he literally just built a house in a tree and then decided to build stuff around that house. I think he ended up sort of tearing the tree down. Like, you can kind of see it here. But I think the tree was initially bigger. I also think this was more populated. Like, he had a horse in here at some point, but we've been running into weird issues where the horses keep despawning, so I think he lost them. He actually made a really nice stable, and then Brian built stables like 2 feet over there. This was the fishing area, and Harry's fishing church, as I called it, because it always looked like a church. Or not a church, what was it? I called it a dog. It looked like a dog, so I told him it was his fishing dog. But that's Jack's hut, and the lily pad path is what I used because I was too lazy to make a fishing place. And he did a real cool build for these boats here. But, like, looking at this, the boats don't go anywhere. We should have built the boathouse at the second village. I think that's one of the few things, like, they have a dock at the castle. We should build a, like, dock or, like, boathouse at the second village. Sort of help connect that more. Not that we need it. Brian built that pathway. But then this is the sheep thing. I don't know why he made this as big as he did. But, I mean, it has everything. He put wool up here. Giant sheep side. I mean, it looks nice, but it's like, when he initially told me, like, oh, you know what, I think I'll build a place for us to have our sheep, I was thinking he was going to build... That sheep came back. But yeah, I was thinking he was going to build, like, a small just pen or something over here. I wasn't expecting to come back to this. Alright, so that's interesting. I was talking earlier, so we've had issues for the pretty much since we started this realm of animals randomly disappearing. And I always just thought they despawned completely. But we have a red sheep over in that pen because at one point it was only the yellow and orange in here. The red one disappeared and suddenly he's here again. So unless someone came and put another red sheep in here and didn't mention it, I almost wonder if the sheep respawned itself. Which gives me weird hope that maybe someday some of the other animals that just randomly despawned could respawn into the world again. Harry's gonna have to build a big pen if that happens, because he lost like 7 horses, so he'll randomly have 7 horses just show up if that does happen. This is the pit. So, the pit was funny, and I know there was a few hijinks with it right at the beginning of the series. I dropped sand down and killed Jack when he was trying to show it off to me. But he initially decided he was going to build a giant hole in the world. And then he realized he could turn it into a spawner. And that's sort of what it got used for a while, was XP grinding, until Jack realized he could cheat the game with that potato farm he made. And it pretty much became unused after that. At this point, it's more just a relic of what we once had. Because there's not really any functional use for it. Well, I guess until the potato farm thing gets patched out or fixed. I think this is Christian's dog. But yeah, this is... He actually did a good job with this. This was... I never knew, because Christian doesn't play this game a lot. So I was under the assumption that this was just going to be a half-destroyed cobble tower from when Jack tried to bomb him with it. But he ended up building a whole bunch of shit off of it. That's right, we gave that to him. I don't think he ever noticed that. That was back in like the summer. We made instant death potions or whatever. And we gave one to him or something like that and claimed it was a potion that would give him the ability to insta-kill things. And I don't think he ever came into his tower again to see it was there, because by the time he came back into the world, we were already over at like the kingdom area. So he came out that way, and I don't think he ever came back to his tower to see that that's been there. But that's been there since like July or August. Oh, this range. This honestly, I don't know why I built this. It was just one of those things that I had been in the middle of the railroad for so long, I got tired of it and wanted to do something else to take a break. And it looks nice, it's just random and serves no purpose. I guess back a long time ago when I was a part of the gaming channel I used to be a part of with Jack, Brian, and Christian, we did a Minecraft Olympics, so I guess we could keep this in the future for when the next Summer Olympics is. I don't even know. Initially, I think it was supposed to be 2024, but I don't know if COVID pushed that back, because it pushed back to 2021. This was the original farm. And then Garen's house. I think Garen finally lit this up, but Garen's house used to be a death trap because there wasn't a lot of light to it. So you never really knew if you were going to walk in and find a creeper in there and then have to scatter out in fear that you were going to blow Garen's house to hell. Then he is there. We're not going to take it, but he actually has a path that leads to another house he built. I'm going to fly out there because that's easier. And that path is long and just boring. But it was a nice way to find his house initially because nobody knew where it was. This was the poor polar bear pen that just never stayed because the polar bear despawned every other week. I really hope they fix that at some point, because once they do, I mean, especially now that we have the winter area, it shouldn't be that hard to grab a polar bear and bring it back here. But it's like, it's more just the fact of spending the time to do that, only for them to despawn all the time is just a waste. Alright, this is the tree house and Jack's Gundam. Oh, they fixed the Gundam, finally. Jack spent weeks telling us he wanted someone to deface it and put a penis on it, so I did. And then he was too lazy to fix it. So I was like, that's just going to stay there forever. But somebody came in. They must have done it, because I don't know if that shield was always there. So he may have fixed it when he put the shield on. Let's see. There it is. I was going to say, if the button's here, we'll go up there. Treehouse. Otherwise, I was gonna say screw it. Whoops. This was cool that they did this, but honestly, outside of them showing us the map on it, which actually does look really nice, it didn't actually have a functional purpose to serve. I mean, it would be huge, but it would be cool at some point to have a map that shows everything that we've expanded to so far, pretty much starting from the first village and going straight out to like where the amusement park is. But that would be a huge project, and I'm not sure how much I want to put up with doing that. They covered a lot of ground, though, because, I mean, this even shows Connor's house and everything out here. I don't know how big the maps they used here were. I know Brian likes using the ones that only cover, like, a 1x1 space, so if he's stuck with that, they reach a pretty good distance. This was before Brian learned his water trick. Now this is a bit of a pain, because I know that Garen's house is out this way somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. Ah, here it is. Alright, so he did start building something over here. I don't know exactly what, because he's been in here a few times while we've been doing stuff and has been building, but I know like most of the build he has in this actual house has been done for a while. Go away. So I didn't know exactly what he was working on, but it seems like he has some sort of building he intends to start over there. So hopefully at some point we can fly back here and actually see what it is. I didn't realize a lot of the interior was still empty. Did he not even have a bed for himself? And I thought he had more filled out. I mean, he did a lot with the exterior. Like, the actual landscaping looks nice. I thought there was more in the house. How are you? Get out of here. Oh, the bed's here. He did it in the basement. Okay. It's weird that he'd put it there and not, like, up in the actual house part, but whatever. It is kind of cool. It gives the idea of, like, him having a garage here. I guess it's just strange that his bedroom connects to his garage. Although I guess that's the dream for anyone that, like, lives and breathes being a mechanic. That was my mind. I don't feel like going back down there because it was shit. Jack's house, he rebuilt this like 2 times, I think, because he wasn't happy with it. Because he built it out of wood once, and I think he rebuilt the design with the wood because he didn't like it, and then he decided to build it out of, like, stone instead. It's probably the most I've ever seen Jack use his house. Oh, God. Is it... Uh-oh. There it is. I was going to say, one of these did it. Yeah. Him and Brian both had secret rooms. I remember, he kept his closed, but after, like, the secret room thing got revealed, Brian kind of just left his open. Frosty Sins. That's right, his golem either disappeared or he killed it or something. But he had a golem called the Spectrum Ghost from his old job. I think we saw that. It was just this. I mean, he had a simple build. He experimented a lot, because at the time that he was really into this, he started finding just weird Minecraft videos to try and replicate builds, so that was like his couch. But yeah, he's not... Jack doesn't spend a lot of time on this world anymore, which is why he's not in as many videos as he used to be. He definitely, I think, like, he was here mostly from, like, when we started in May straight up to, like, August. But since then, unless we're doing a special event, he has stayed off of Minecraft, really. But at the time when we first started this world, he was probably on it the most. Like, he's the reason this world was actually a realm. I didn't really care all that much to make it one. He brought up the idea, so I figured why not. And I didn't really care about paying for it, so my idea always just was so long as I forgot he called this Lufaringo. But yeah, my idea always was is so long as they want to use the world, I'll keep it a realm, and once it gets to the point where nobody's using it anymore, then I'd probably stop paying and turn it back to a normal world. Which I'll have to check, because Brian and Harry still use it, so I've had no problem keeping it a realm for that reason. But I don't know the last time that they've been on it, so if they're also reaching a point where they're getting tired of Minecraft for the time being, I may turn off the realm thing for a short while. And then once everyone's interested in going back again, I can turn it back on. Not that I think it's only like $7 or $8, and thankfully I have a job that pays me well enough that $8 doesn't hurt that bad. Oh, there's its sign. I was gonna say, this is the Church of Stan. Basically, Jack's satanic church, but he won't name it that. And then this is the orphanage. Which, like, Brian wanted to make a place for the villagers, and Connor's a creep, so he claimed it as his house also. Which is why there is this floor here. And I did mention, because we were in here during the live, that, the one thing that throws me off about his house is I'm like, again, you can't really make a one-way sort of window in Minecraft. That's just not a thing here. But I'm like, he should have, like, made, like, a darker glass material to give off that idea. Because I'm like, here, you just get the impression that the villagers are all seeing him as he's seeing them. So he has about as much privacy as they do. Yeah, I didn't even notice it when I came in here last time, but all the villagers from this place despawned. I figured it was bound to happen eventually. We started running into issues where even villagers were despawning on us. And so, because of the little time we spend here, I figured that could be a part of it. Because I don't know if part of the despawning issues we've been having have had to do with the fact that, like, we're just so spread out and all over the place that if we have an area where they are that we're not constantly in or around that chunk that they could be leaving. So that's definitely like a possibility that we could be running into and not realizing. This is Brian's library, which always just serves as a place to do potions and enchant. I never pay attention to that computer, so I'll like hear myself echo for a while and then be like, oh shit, that's why. But yeah, that's just about everyone's house that's out here. That was the house we lived in when we first started the world, and we're like, oh, we need to hide somewhere because we spent so long getting everyone in that it's now the middle of the night and the most we have is a wooden sword. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. The one other build that we really had in this area was Brian's bee hut. Which he has made a cooler one in his other place now. I also don't know what happened here, but we went from having a beehive here to this wooden block. I don't know if Brian took that beehive and used it to start the other one or if something happened, but we are down a beehive now. I assume Holly came and took her stuff. This path also feels longer than what it was before, so somebody definitely edited it. But yeah, Holly was initially going to build a house here, but she must have came to get her stuff when she realized that when she was initially going to start building a house in June, we were all still over here. When she came back in like October to continue her plans, we were all gone. Actually, that wasn't even October. I gave her too much credit for how early she returned. I don't think she came back until like December. But yeah, my old pumpkin patch used to be here, but then it got blown up too many times, and since we didn't need pumpkins, we made a flag. But that is the first area. I guess I'll show off the stables. I don't know how useful that. I think a lot of things despawn from here. So now it's just kind of empty. Oh, hey, my horse is still here. Oh, there's still a few here. Magic Tree Horse. What's the gold one's name? Okay, that was Brian's first horse. Nugget's mom survived longer than Nugget did. That was Harry's horse. That's an empty one. Sporg the horse. Okay. Does this have a name? No. I'm actually surprised how many of these survived then. Yeah, shout out to my buddy Nate. We've had. I knew a guy when I was working at UB, Nate. He was a cool guy, but he played D&D with us for a bit, and Avalor was his character's name. So I took it in as a horse to be a reminder of him. Unfortunately, it's an unfortunate thing, but I'm sure just about anyone that's gone through like high school or college or any old job knows, like, despite the fact that you get along with people well and you're like, oh, we'll stay in touch definitely, it just never happens. And I think COVID definitely hurt that. Like, it was one of those things that we actually had initially been talking, a bunch of people I used to work at UB with, like, oh, let's, all right, that's going to leave without me. I'll catch up to it later. But we were all talking initially, like, right before the pandemic. Oh, it's back. Let's all get together sometime, like, this winter. Everyone's going to be home in, like, January. It'll be great. And then just a lot of the COVID stuff started happening. I know we didn't really shut down until about March, but with everything happening and just going around like that, it just never happened. And now we're like 2 years later from that point, and I don't think I've even talked to those guys since then. And it's like, it's normal. It's one of those things that I had initially hoped and tried getting out of high school and college and stuff of like, oh, I'll still stay in touch with everyone. It's not that hard. But eventually it happens. And, you'd sometimes think like, oh, it's just as easy as making a phone call or texting someone being like, hey, what's up? I haven't talked in a while. And that works for some people. Like, there are people I like will see once or twice a year, and it's like, oh, hey, I haven't talked in a while. But it's like, you also just hit a point where it's awkward then. It's like, we haven't talked in so long. What's the point of getting back together? I don't even know why we're on that topic. Doesn't matter. But it's just the things, I guess, that I've started to learn and find. It's a unique thing. I've always sort of thought that one of the biggest issues I had with starting any sort of channel and stuff is, I mean, for anyone that's like seen any of this stuff on this channel for a while, I've been doing this since like high school, kind of on and off. And I always kind of thought like one of the big issues I had that was keeping me from succeeding was just being in high school. Because I'm like, oh, you know, you're young, you don't know a lot. And I'm like, it definitely has helped in the sense of like, now that I am older, I have more things I can talk about and things I'm more experienced with. But like, I wasn't aware how much of it was going to feel depressing when you talked about it. Like, I'm not even in a state where I really feel like I'm a depressed person, but it's like, anytime you like go and start looking back on things, even if it's just like, oh, I'm going to tell this story because it was funny, it's like, shit, that just gets longer and longer every time you talk about that now. You just feel more distance from it. Like, I know because I went to high school with like Brian and Garen and them, and we recently were talking about how we're getting close to our 10-year reunion for high school now. And it's like, just the thought of that is bizarre because I'm like, it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. But like, when I stop and think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's getting close. Because we graduated in 2014, so we're like 2 years away now. This was the office building, so I mean, I know I've been linking to it for like 2 years and talking about it even longer, but I have an animated show I've been working on. And so the idea actually in this place was to try and like build a layout for the building they have. Because one of the big issues I have is I'm not very great at animating and drawing, and that is why it's been, I mean, that process on its own is a very slow process, but it's been slower for me because I've been learning as I go. I'm like, I probably should have started smaller, but outside of that and even restarting the whole show over, like when I was 2 minutes away from finishing the first episode, just to be able to learn more and do more with it, has made the process slow and made me really been working on it for a while. But like, an issue I found too is like, it gets very hard sometimes because as someone that's filmed a lot of things, when you have actual filming and actors and environments to use, you have an idea of what everything looks like ahead of time. Where when it comes to drawing it out, especially in like a 2D environment, it's sometimes hard to be able to fully judge and know what you're looking at. And so that was one of those things that was kind of cool about being able to come in and do it here. And I'm thinking about even trying, fuck these iron doors. Oh my lord. But I was thinking about even trying to come in and, I don't have silk touch on anything, do I? Why is this here? Whatever. That was weird. I don't know what the fuck happened with that. Anyway, one of the things though with Minecraft that sort of worked and that I liked with it is I'm like, I have the ability with these builds to kind of build a rough sketch or idea of what I want. Like, I intend for this building to be bigger and have more in it, but I'm like, it gives me a way to sort of start building and doing certain things here that I'm like, I normally wouldn't have any way else that I could do this. But yeah, so when that show comes out, hopefully within like a year or two, because I am getting more progress actually done. I'd like to get it out at the end of this year, but I say that a lot and it never happens. So, you know, it may still be 2 years away. Hopefully not 3 at this point, though. I'm hoping I've finally started to reach a point where me saying that this is coming soon actually is a soon thing and not just a super far in the future or even never. Because I'll work on it till the day I die, but I'm hoping I can have something to show before my death happens. But, yeah, it's one of those things where I've heard a lot of people talk about how sometimes with animating and doing stuff that having some sort of model or thing you can look at kind of helps to be able to make things feel realistic and not flat. And I'm like, you know, there's certain things you can do to help out with like people where you can use reference photos and things like that. but I'm like, it's hard because I can't just go and build a building by myself to do stuff. So I'm like, this game kind of gives the ability to do that. I've also been thinking because some people on like message boards and stuff that I've read have talked about Sims actually being a pretty good way to get like models and things like that done too. Which I'm surprised I never thought of it, but I'm like, that is a great idea. So I've been doing some stuff over there too. But that's sort of stuff's just always, I think, a fun way to go on that. Why did this minecart really have to go this far? There it is. Oh, and it's going to keep going now that I've caught up to it. That's lovely. But, you know, I guess as an animation tip from a guy that started not knowing how to do anything and now is still learning but has gotten better, uh, don't cheat yourself out of references. Use them from the beginning. I wasn't, and that is why I decided to start a basically 30-minute episode over from scratch because I didn't learn to use references until like the last 3 minutes of that episode. And the last 3 minutes look so good compared to everything else looking like garbage. I'm like, I just need to redo this whole thing. I'm glad I did it though, because honestly, I I know it's not going to look perfect. It's still going to look somewhat amateur in quality because again, I'm an amateur. I'm also the only editor working on it. But I'd rather make it look as nice as I can than just kind of cop it out and say, well, I'm an amateur, so people will deal with whatever I put out. Let's get in here. So this is Harry's thing. Harry ended up building a I think he actually started with the other building first. But when we all started building houses out here, he went, I think he said he was going for like a traditional, like sort of Japanese bathhouse styled house. So that's sort of what he actually went for and did. I mean, his thing, out of all the stuff in the new village, his is the most intricate and definitely cool. Like, this is one of the builds that broke his model of, I found a thing I'm just going to start building on and see what happens. But this is where Harry showed off his wealth to us. Most of this village really is just the village. I thought we were gonna spend like a 10 episode like arc out here and work on the second village, but one of the guys we knew from high school, Brett, came in and joined us for like 2 episodes. We hadn't talked to him in a while, and when he came, he was talking about building the big castle and kingdom that we now have like across the seas. So my initial thought that we'd spend like 5 to 10 episodes here turned into we spent like 2 or 3. That's all right. Like I said, I always wanted to expand, and I think a part of there's already Brian was talking about it a bit about coming back this way to kind of fill in some of the empty space. So that is something that's probably going to happen because I know I want to do that at some point too. This is Brian's crazy house. It's one of those things. I'll have to bring this up to him because I know he was saying that he had some project he started but never really finished or completed that he wanted to go back to. And I'm not sure if he knows that this house is still kind of just an empty, like, open area. Because Brian's normally not one to leave his houses completely empty and open like this. So I have a feeling he probably doesn't know that it actually wasn't done. So I'm sure he'd come back and actually fill out the second half of his house. Because I think the first half is full. To like an extent. I don't know, maybe it wasn't. He's got a bedroom. This doesn't feel up to Brian's normal quality of builds, so I've got a feeling that he went out that way when he knew people were going and didn't realize this wasn't completely done. The downstairs here definitely is. I can bring that up to him because I know he's going to head back out this way once he's done with whatever he's doing with Harry over in the other area. He may have overdone it. Brian, like, has a weird thing with houses where he'll build them big, but he also tries to keep them confined because he doesn't like having empty open space. This is a very, like, big, wide house for Brian in comparison to how he normally builds. This was his aquarium. I remember I brought this up to him, the idea of building an aquarium. Initially, my plan was to help him build it, but by the time I finished my house, he had this done already. So it ended up just being Brian's project. But he actually did quite a bit with it. Like, I initially had talked about doing this sort of underwater bridge between these 2 points, which he did. He also got a lot more fish in here than I remember him having. But then he also did this, where he connected it, because we found, like, one of the underwater, like, pirate ships out here. Oh, hey, turtle. It's better than the last visitors I got while doing this. And I don't know, I asked him when he was on, when I was actually doing the live, because I didn't know if his plan was to end it here like this, or if he wanted to keep going. And at this point, he doesn't remember either because of how long it's been. But I feel like at some point, I'd have to go back and look at some of the old videos that we did, but I feel like he did intend to have that keep going. I just don't think there was a destination in mind. I just think it was kind of keep going out to a point where it's like, oh, you could see different creatures and animals. I guess before we go to my house out here, we'll check out the Krusty Krab. Oh, dear God, there's so many. You need to go because you're the most dangerous. I was actually going to try and get in and let these guys live, but not anymore. I'm going to regret going in here, because now I'm going to have to find the way out, and they're all in the way. I'm actually surprised they're back. There was a point where Jack said that they actually despawned, and all the turtles, we thought we lost them. But I guess they all respawned again. But we did... Brian wanted to pull a prank on Jack where he was going to stuff the area full of turtles. And we ended up taking all of them because I didn't realize Brian wanted to keep the turtles that he had still in the aquarium. I thought he was just going to rehash the eggs. But that's why there are now no turtles in the aquarium, and they're all customers here. What did he... I think Mr. Krabs' office was over here. Yeah. I remember he said it was too small. He couldn't actually get the desk in. He did pretty good, though, over on this side, like being able to get SpongeBob in and the little boat for Squidward. Alright. Yep. Of course, this is my house. This, I think most of this has been shown off in a video. Most of my houses do, just because I'm in them the most. So there's sometimes we're going through them to get stuff done. We're in a conversation that I don't end up cutting, so you see a lot of it. But I know the idea was that this was a back, like, hot tub out here. Probably not the best idea. Oh, yeah, this was like a storage closet, but I never put a chest in there. But yeah, I'm not sure it's the best idea to have done a hot tub the way I did with the ocean right next to it. Because I feel like that would just pool a lot of shit in there. Yeah, this was also, I didn't have room to put a bathroom upstairs, so I put it down here in the glass that's all see-through. So I best hope nobody ever goes scuba diving out in this area, because they're going to see something they don't want to see. Yeah, I knew we did a lot on this world, but we're like hitting almost an hour into at least filming on this video. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, we're only in Village 2. I didn't think this was going to go over an hour. I'm sure it'll get cut down a bit, but I'll be curious to see how long this video actually ends up being. Just as a thing, too, I think we're going back to normal videos for next week. I know we sort of had the weird sort of failed live last week, and then this week was just because I wanted to still do this tour, and it got fucked up last week. I came to do it now. But episode 39 will go back to normal of sort of just the group hanging out in here doing whatever. This is the thing that kills me the most, because it's probably the most, like, the nicest looking build I've ever made, and it's for a fish restaurant that literally serves no purpose. It's probably the build I'm most proud of right now. Like, in half of the fucking realm doesn't even know it exists because they were all over in Avalor by the time that we got, by the time this was up. Like, now if people saw this, it's because they flew over it while having to fly back home to grab a chest or something. But to be fair, I think the same thing happened to Jack, because he built this house, and then the very next week Brett was on, they went to Avalor. He didn't even, like, finish moving his stuff over here, and this was the house that he said was, like, his biggest build out of all of them. So Jack and I both screwed ourselves by making great builds in a village that gets the least amount of traffic and least amount of people that care about it. Because you gotta pass through this village to get everywhere else, but the issue is that now that we all have Electras, you're not really getting traffic through it so much as you're getting it over it. I'm not sure how many of you have flown in a plane, but you can't really say that you visited a state if you just flew over it. You ain't really seeing much, just a bunch of dots. Okay, so I could boat or fly over, but I want to show off the underground, like, train area that Brian made, so I think we'll go do that. And that'll take us to, like, the last few areas of this little tour that we have. And then that'll be it to show off for a while. I don't know, we might do a group tour walkthrough on the 1-year anniversary. I don't know exactly what I want to do for that yet. I feel like we should do something somewhat special. Although I might just do some random weird game with everyone. Because I'm trying to think, because it's like, I should do something for the year. Because I'm like, that's kind of a big standpoint of saying like, hey, we did a full year of Minecraft videos. But it's also one of those things where, like, the end of the day, it's probably going to mean more. Or not mean more, but it's going to be a bigger milestone when we hit 100 episodes. Where's my carrot? Nope, not the torches. I want the carrot. This is like the amethyst that they did. I'm not really sure if that's a room that he's making. I'm pretty sure Brian said that he literally just put it there because it looked nice. Same thing happened here. Harry found a diamond that floated perfectly there, so he said he was just going to leave it to hang there for people to go by. And while the only people on the world are being Harry and Brian, that'll last, but eventually when we do get more people on here again, I'm sure that's going to get cut down real fast. I was thinking about fortune. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got that back on my pickaxe, but I don't even remember at this point. I do. I checked. This is longer than I remember it being. For some reason, I thought this was a shorter ride. I guess it's not that long. We are here. Alright. There's also too many minecarts over here now, so I'm going to try and kick this back down, and hopefully it goes far enough. That doesn't look like it's going to be, so somebody's going to complain when they hit a cart halfway out. Yeah, this is their half-done slime. They said they're building this as a monument to tell the slimes to go away, which I think is just their way of saying that they want to show off how many they've had to kill while making this place. But it gave me an idea, because I work marketing bounce houses and stuff. That's my job. Where I'm like, for my amusement park, I should use slime blocks and make like a goofy little bounce house area. Could be fun to do. Could be a good way to remember it too, because I have reached the point in my job where I was saying that by 2 years in, I either got to be doing enough stuff to be kind of working my way up in my career, or be moving on to another job that can move me up in a career. And while I like a lot of the people I work with, unfortunately, it is one of those jobs, as I've even been informed, that there's not always a lot of upward movement. And so, unless I kind of want to just be stuck in the same position, I'm probably going to have to start looking for another one. Which I know actually weirdly right now there's a lot of open jobs because I've been looking a little bit. So at least in my area that's good for me. So I can kind of start looking and taking care of that. Alright, this is the... Nope, that's the way down. This is the way up. Nope, I was wrong. This is the way up. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I guess is like sort of that weird part of working in your 20s. Of like, that's the point really where you gotta kind of start paying attention and doing the math, because if a job isn't going to be great for you, it's at this point in time that you need to kind of start jumping and finding a job that has more career growth, because it's easier to do it in your 20s while you've got nothing going on versus doing it in your 30s when you're trying to start a family. At my current state, I'm not really trying to start a family or caring about that either way, so I've probably got a bit more leeway than some other people that are aiming to do that do. But I'd rather kind of get that portion of my life done and over with sooner than be trying to find a job and getting career growth at 30. Just feel like it's easier to be doing that in my 20s anyway. That's why most other people do it. I'm probably a little behind the curve because most of the people I graduated college with have already made their career jumps to the next big thing. I've been seeing a lot of that on Facebook. Not that it's a race and anyone really has to worry so much about like, oh, everybody else is getting a new job and I haven't. Like, everyone's got to go at their own pace. But, you know, when you start seeing other people doing it, it's always a good sign of like, maybe I should start trying to focus on that. So I think he said he did the fountain on the boys' side and the couch on the girls' side. And I just still laugh at it because I remember him telling me, like, I think I did a good job on the bathrooms. I'm like, yeah, the only complaint I have is that it's only one door in. I'm like, so you're putting a lot of faith into people to go into the right bathroom. Like, and he built a hotel. If I know anything about the way people do hotels, you're going to have some drunk idiot that's trying to walk into the girls' bathroom at like 12 at night. I'm a man, so I get to say it, but men are stupid. We do shit like that. Some of us are worse about it than others. This is my old... I still can't get over it. I thought it was funny when they did it. And I like brought up, I'm like, just cover it. But they left like my mine open. I'm like, I haven't been down there in months. I don't even use that as a mine anymore, but they left it for me. Although I guess I should be somewhat happy, because I probably should take those furnaces out and move them at some point, because otherwise there's just 4 random furnaces going to waste. I really should do that more often. I feel like I've built more furnaces than I'd ever have to, because I'm too lazy to come back and just get the ones. I should eat a fish. There we go. This house is literally just a beacon. I remember bringing that up to him. I'm like, I know he was trying to hide the beacon because it was a Christmas thing, but now he just built this giant house, which is one of the nicest looking houses in this entire like Avalor area right now, and all it does is house a beacon in it because he was trying to hide it. The stable's all just like sheep. There's one cow. And the chickens are back there because Brian decided to bring back Jack's animal cruelty. He complained about that for years, that Jack did that, and then he did it himself. This is the improved potato farm. I'm trying to remember how to get into this, because essentially, and it's sad that he ended up leaving before we got to it. At some point, we'll have to try and get everyone on the world to actually do this and call Brett back, because Brett had built the idea of doing a capture the flag game in this area, and it was the last thing Brett did was he built this, and he talked about one day getting everyone together to play it, and we haven't seen or talked to him since. And like, it sucks because I'm like, he spent all this time building it, and then we never actually used it. And like, I know he hasn't been back in like months now, So I'm like, we could use it, but I'd rather use it when he's here, seeing that he was the one that had the idea and built the whole thing. So I'll have to get in touch with him, because at some point I feel like that could even just be a fun video and thing to do with everyone. Could be a good event just to call everyone back here, because at this point, if I want more than just me, Brian, and Harry here, we need events to do it. Connor's house really is a lot closer than I initially gave it credit for being. Which is nice because it makes it easy to get to, but bad because I hate the way it looks. No offense to Connor, but this is not the nicest looking house I've ever seen. It's also a real pain in the fucking ass to get onto. And now he's building up, I remember, because his whole thing is he wanted to build it to the height limit. And what he did and didn't realize is that they increased the height limit, so now he has to build it even higher. Because this initially, I think, was his roof. And now this is his roof. And he's got to keep going up. What did he build? I actually didn't see what this was. Is he making a cage or a spawner? Oh! I see, it's a snowball spawner. That's smart. He's gonna need that to build snow. And this is his base floor. Which, like, this looks nice. And he has a really nice interior design. It's the exterior that kills me a bit. Thank God that didn't kill me. I thought it was going to. But that's why I hate his house, because this thing's literally a jump. And you also have to jump to get in it. You can see right there, it's a ladder. Like, his house is a death trap. Alright. We kind of saw this already, so we don't have to spend a lot of time here. But because I'm showing off everything, I figured we can come back. But this is... I didn't see her build it when I was here. She hasn't been on a lot when I was been on. Which is why Holly has been on the world, but we haven't seen her much in videos. But Brian and her came out and built this house. So this is Holly's house. So, I don't know, at some point you might hear her on. I think the big issue is that Holly's one of the few people we know that actually does things with her life. So, like, for me, I tend to be off on the weekdays and on the weekends because it's easier with work and stuff, where for her, she'll be on for an hour or two on weekdays and then off on the weekends because she actually has things and people she talks to go do things with. But who knows, every now and then I'll be on for a few hours on a Wednesday and film. So, maybe you'll hear her. Alright. I know it's not moving, but I swear to God, every time I look at Connor's house too, it looks like it gets closer. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew that it has been stationary this whole time, I would honestly think that he was building it, like, tearing it down and building it, like, a little bit closer each and every time just to fuck with me. This is Brian's storage house that ruined the entire village. I don't think it matters. Nobody actually cares. But I always give him shit, because the initial plan was there was a sign that Brett had that literally sat, like, right here. That basically the whole thing just said, like, this is the town area. They were going to build different, like, townhouses and stuff. And so Brian built this massive storage system here. I'm like, is this like a townhouse? I'm like, what is this? Because I thought Jack had built it. And Brian's like, no, I built a storage house so that the chests weren't all just sitting out because it looked bad. And from that point onwards, I'm like, well, there's not really going to be townhouses anymore. The town basically became a whole bunch of random buildings that house Brian's shit. And then there's these few random builds. Like, Jack made a blacksmith thing. She actually populated with blacksmith stuff. I used to give him shit before because he literally built this, put a furnace in it, and that was like it. It was just all these furnaces. I'm like, you don't even have a fucking anvil. I'm like, you need something in here. I'm like, this ain't a blacksmith place. This was how Brian decided to one-up Jack after he already left. Jack built this fountain. It was one of the things Jack always talked about. He was so proud of it, he wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. Then Brian came and built this right next to it. This is Jack's courthouse. It looks a little bit more like a church, but the Bible of Avalor. Actually, don't you normally have one of those on this side too? I guess not all of them. Next we'll go up to the library. I'm not really sure if we should go up to the lighthouse. It's literally nothing but a jumping pad at this point, outside of just the glowstone. Yeah, Harry built hidden penises into a lot of things out here. Which was fine when they were hidden. There's some that aren't as hidden and aren't as subtle that every now and then I'll look at it and be like, oh, it's a good thing that I get like 3 views a video, because if I was pushed up to YouTube's priority checklist, I may be in trouble for some of these. Thankfully, much to YouTube's viewership, I don't think I exist to YouTube, so they don't really give a fuck what I do. So long as the robots don't flag me, I'm fine. This is the thing I wanted to come in and do at some point. Is at this point, I'm not sure Brett or Jack are ever coming back to finish this. So I was telling Brian at one point, like, if they don't come back to do stuff with this castle, I might come in and try and fill out the interior, because it's a nice looking castle. But I'm like, it sort of just kind of sucks that a lot of the interior outside of like this one tower where they built all their rooms is kind of just random shit. I also don't know if this was supposed to be like this. I can't tell if Jack made it as a jumping pad because he had his Electra, or if it was just always intended to be a gate there. I mean, you have a chance of hitting the water. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, and then this was Brett's. Yeah, his is smarter. You can't jump off of this. Yeah, because I know like they kind of did doors and stuff to build that up here. But I think the higher you get, the more... Oh yeah, it starts right... I thought they had another floor filled out. But it does just sort of reach this point of... there's not a whole lot built into the interior. I'm like, it would probably be nice to be able to get something built in here. It's a nice looking castle. It just sort of suffers from the fact that nobody's been on to finish it. Okay, I almost hurt myself flying into it, but as you could see, that was the top of the lighthouse we flew by. It's more used as a jump pad for a while before we realized, oh, you could just jump and look up and firework yourself into the sky. This was the thing Brian wasted my pumpkins on. He said it was for the Halloween event, and I'm like, yeah, but the problem is when you put your, like, holiday events right into your village, it becomes an issue because then you can't hide it and get rid of it, so you're not looking at a Halloween event year-round. Which is why I took matters into my own hand, and now it's just a pumpkin shop. I know he didn't make the cemetery until after. But what he really should have done was built that in his cemetery over there. This is, he made way too many kingdoms over here, but this is their Mushroom Kingdom. He showed it off to me when I first returned from either Vegas or Florida. No, it was Florida. Because Florida was when I was fucking up his shit and I kept breaking off a block of his quartz at the top of his compass area. Yeah, he started making this like little town and village over here. Which I think was mostly just we were talking about it before of like where do the peasants live, and initially it was going to be that bottom layer, and then as things got more crowded he's like, no, all the rich people are in there. He goes, the peasants live in these buildings outside. And then this is more, he's got villagers down in here and a sugarcane farm for paper. We're also getting into some stuff that I haven't fully explored yet, because him and Harry got super busy in this area, and there's just some things that like I've walked by from time to time and been like, what the fuck, when did this get here? I don't know why there's a cake down here, but this is his arena. This was another thing. And it's like, we gotta talk about these and get better with them. But there's a lot of like events and just different games that were built in that could be part of videos or just done as things. And so this was one, like, he wanted to make an event out of this where people would come in and fight. What else did he... That's right, there's this. This was like his potion shop. Yeah, I was gonna say, he built like a secret room to hide from like Jack and Connor in here too. When we were doing, I think it was the Halloween event he did that in. I don't think that was supposed to be a part of it though. Here's the other side of his stables. And then this was the inn that I remember having told him he should do. It also, you know, I know inns come with a bar, but he also made like a rave area. Very intricate inn. Place for sit-down dinners and food. And then just rooms, which I think he said he left empty besides like a bed. Which I don't really blame him for. I don't see what else would have been built there anyway. These stairs were a pain, I remember him doing. Like, I was here helping him with it, because it was trying to build it in a way that it looked natural, but also not like shit, which turned out to be harder to do. I can't remember who he said lived there. That's like a fancier house. I think someone important to the town was supposed to like live there in his lore. But I know this is the announcer for his games lives here. Because this lets him walk straight into the announcer booth. And this is where he told me that him and Harry just thought of everything a person would need to live and smushed it into one area. He said the announcer's disliked, so his shit doesn't always get treated well. Which is funny he says that, because I'm pretty sure in his lore he is the announcer. Which may be the funniest thing in the world to me, is that Brett created his own kingdom, and as such, in the lore of Avalor, Brett is the king of Avalor. Brian created his own kingdom, and his king is a goat. He is the despised announcer. And I'm like, that's a, like, tell on how we treat Brian and how he sees himself. We all shit on him so much that he won't even make himself king of his own kingdom. He has to give that to someone else because he thinks it's the only way the kingdom will get respect. Oh yeah, there's the shit I was talking about that Harry does. Brian had initially found he wanted to make a cool nether design and said he found one where you could shape it like a sword. So Harry did that. Like, and that's why you don't tell Harry things like that. Because you may think you're giving him a cool idea to build something and it's going to end up being a dick. I think that's a part of Harry's house. Or his tower. Harry took his own attempt at a wizard tower. Oh, he built stables too. Harry tends to be actually pretty good at building useful things alongside his houses and stuff that he'll normally tend to use. But his wizard tower is way more intricate than mine. And so as such, it also definitely feels more like a wizard actually lives in it and not just a random dude in a giant brick tower. Ow, ow, why did I do that? Ow. Oh, idiot. Now I gotta go all the way down. I should have jumped in this other one. That's a lot of axolotls. I haven't even seen all of this house and tower that Harry's done because there's just so much involved in it. And I believe we could actually take this real quick to go see my least favorite part of this entire realm. Yeah, this is the fucking Spruce Kingdom. Fucking blight on everything we own. And this is the most useful part of the Spruce Kingdom, because when you go back here, this is the nether portal that connects like 3 different areas together. And so you always have to pass through this fucking abomination to get to it. I don't really know what the rest is. They got like a storage room. Oh, they actually added stuff here that was not here before. Well, it was. I think the last time I actually checked out the Spruce Kingdom, other than to walk through it to get to where I needed to be, was like months ago. Does this also lead to a thing in Harry's house? Oh, that's where I came from. I thought I came through the other room. The other room's also just like storage, though. Okay. This is the trippy room. What else did they do? Or I guess he'd do. This is all Harry. Brian didn't have a part of this. It's always interesting because Harry's stuff, like I think a few videos ago, I was in his house when it was still like half dirt and like built into the side of the mountain. Which, I mean, the whole thing is built into the side of the mountain. But, like, it always intrigues me how well Harry is at being able to take something that is literally just a build that he started doing in some random area and turn it into something way bigger. Like, the way this looks now, you would not think that he just randomly started building on a point and being like, yeah, sure, I'm going to put something here. You would think this was planned out. This is the top. Alright, so now I gotta figure out how to get to the top of his pyramid. Which I could fly up to it. I've done that a few times, but I think he has an actual way you're supposed to use to get up there. Ow. Okay, I think that's water there. Now, does the water... Are you getting into the water from here? Right, that may be connected through the Spruce Kingdom as well. I mean, you can get to it from there as well. But yeah, outside of this amethyst, I'm not sure how much of this is, like, usable or done. Oh. He made a map to show off this area. That's nice. Oh, this I didn't see. These got creeper. What block is that made out of? I'm gonna have to ask him about this. I assume that's sandstone. And they got like creeper faces. I wonder how he did that. Alright, let's not faceplant as we come down here. I'm not sure what this is. Rattles? This must be some sort of a, like, spawner tool that they use to cheat the game. We got a few of those around here. I'm gonna fly over to one now. I don't know how they've been doing on this. Brian was showing it to me earlier. But this is, their plan is to build a giant smeltery. Just to make smelting things go faster because they have a lot of things they want to build. Yeah. Because, yeah, they've been getting kelp because they said it's easy to use just to collect it and smelt with it. Yeah. I'll have to figure out exactly how this works myself at some point because it would help me a lot with some of the shit I'm doing. But I'll take a quick lap around, but I think that's everything out in this area. It's hard to tell because there really is a lot in this area. I mean, we've been out here since like July-ish, like July or August. So a lot is being done here. It's just slower because we went from having like 7 people doing things at a time to 3. So we also went from being like, oh, this is a Jack build, this is a Garen build, to this is a Brian build, this is a Harry build, this is a Brian build, this is a Harry build. Alright. That's their staircase to the sky that we used to get that achievement to trade with the villager in the air. I didn't want this. Oh, that guy shot him. I whipped the bow and I thought it was that. I'm like, there's no way me throwing a bow at this dude did that. I don't want these. Is this guy still here or is he gone again? What the? Cuddles up there. Oh, I see. Okay. Harry was doing this. So Cuddles is the name of the villager that has mending books. And he's the third because he's despawned twice. So Harry tried to trap him in things to make it harder for him to disappear on us. So I will apologize. I don't like showing off holiday things when it's not holidays. But since we're seeing the whole world, I figure we can make a small exception and check out the 2 holiday areas on the map. So since this is closer, this is like the winter... They call it the winter village now that Christmas has passed, but it's still obviously the Christmas village because there's a giant fucking Christmas tree in the center of it. But this is... I haven't come over here yet. Most things have only been on Xbox, but I have this game on both the iPhone and my computer. And Harry was telling me that this is the village that I need to come get shit in because apparently they have villagers that will give you an emerald per fish that you give them. And since we spent months in this game with the only way to get mending books being to fish, we have double chests full of stacks of fish. I'm gonna borrow this house right now to sleep so that shit's not trying to kill me while we're doing this. Oh, there's a random cat out here. Also, I don't know why you put the llama post over here instead of the center again. But this was, if you saw the Christmas video that we did a few weeks ago, this was one of the events that Brian had set up. It was llama soccer or hockey. I don't remember which he called it. I think maybe hockey since that's more winter than soccer. But then some of these are just like random houses he made. Like this just has different stuff in it. He mostly built a lot of this stuff to make it look like a full village and not just a area with like 3 buildings in it. This is the crater because... Oh, I thought this was the crater. What happened to the crater? Did they fix the crater? They must have, because I'm pretty sure this is where the crater was when they blew it up. Harry, because he's obsessed with explosives, built a Christmas gift that was all just TNT and blew it up. I think this is where it exploded. Him and Brian must have come out and covered the area with ice again. This is the snowman that they made. I don't really know what some of this... Oh, this had a zombie villager in it. I'm taking it he despawned. But of course, this is the Christmas tree, and then this was, I think he said it was like the ski lodge, which we kind of checked out during that video, so I won't go huge into it. Not that it's necessarily a thing of, oh, go check out the Christmas video now that Christmas has passed, but, you know, if you remember in a year from now to, fuck you. I was leaving you alone, you asshole. But yeah, as I was saying, if you remember somehow in a year from now to come back and watch the Christmas video then, by all means. But at that point, we'll probably have a second one going on because, you know, you might as well keep those holiday events up. They do well for, like, clicks and stuff. Different things you get to learn about YouTube and its algorithm is that Christmas is actually a great time to get people to watch your videos. You kind of get a boost when you name things after holidays, when that holiday's going on. It also, I don't see it because I don't get revenue off of YouTube, but I've actually heard that apparently revenue around Christmas time is higher, which I think is just because more ads are being run. But that's why, as a little insider tidbit from things that I've learned from kind of looking into it, a lot of your favorite YouTubers tend to do less or maybe even go on a break in January. And while a part of that is because they're posting a lot in December, because, you know, ad revenue's up, so they're trying to capitalize, they also tend to take that break in January, not just because they're tired, but because of how much money is spent with ads and stuff going in during January. A lot of companies actually pull back their ad spend in January. So where December is the month where you make the most money per ad, January is the month where you make the least. So that's just a little insider as to why you may notice that your favorite YouTubers do not post as much in January as they do every other month, or even maybe say that they need to take a week or two to themselves. Though in fairness, I guess it also works out that way, because a lot of YouTubers will do a huge like event throughout the month of October for Halloween and then do the same thing for Christmas. And so that's just, while there's still November in the middle, that's a lot of stuff going on for those 2 months to come back. And everyone would want to break in January for sure. So, you know, it's one of those different things where it's very good timing, but also there's definitely a money side to it. So that was the Halloween thing. Halloween was much smaller than the winter thing, mostly because I started working on the Halloween thing. I was gathering materials for it for months ahead of time, but I was an idiot and waited until 2 days before the Halloween video to build it, so I didn't have as much there as I could have or should have. The Christmas thing, Harry and Brian had been building since Halloween, so they had more time. And I'll remember that, because next event that I do, I'll definitely make sure to put more time into it. This is our leap of faith in the area that murdered me like 3 times and made me lose all my shit to get that one stupid achievement from the Caves and Cliffs update. This is the basically still like mostly finished casino. I think I've talked about it on video. Probably even talked about it because one of the first live that I did, and the only other live sort of failed one from last week, was a live about the casino, where essentially my plan is to run the second roller coaster I'm building through here. I will join Jack in just a second because this is almost over. But the idea is that the second floor will have the roller coaster fly through here, and the second one's going to be the medium-sized one, and then the large one will be somewhere else. But I know a lot of this was sort of like timing based, because I built the casino at the time that I was going to Vegas because I wanted it to be themed off of that. The same thing, I initially was like, oh, I'll get the whole amusement park done for when I go to Florida because Disney World. A, that didn't happen because there was a lot more going into that than I initially anticipated. And then B, I got kind of screwed over because we had the Disney World thing get released, and that was awesome. I remember we spent like a whole 2-hour, almost 3-hour video in that. And then I was like, well, my amusement park's going to suck now because Disney World blew it out of the fucking water. But I'm like, I already started it, so I might as well finish it. But that's the only roller coaster that's done. It's also the only, like, actual attraction ride that is done right now. This is the start. I've been building it currently, so next video we'll probably be back in here going again. But essentially, I'm kind of basing this off of both the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and It's a Small World ride, where it's going to be a boat ride that is going to have like different drops and stuff, and is going to empty out into like the ocean, just like along the coast, like by that roller coaster is the plan. And this is the other drop that has killed me like once or twice, but thankfully there's no lava down there, so I can get my shit back when it happens. But that's just about everything that's currently in the world now. Like I said, I wanted to do this just because, you know, we haven't really had a whole lot of time to actually go through and see this world full on and all the stuff built in it. So I can't imagine doing this video anytime soon again, or a type of video like this, because this is a lot of stuff that was in there, and I don't know when we'll have a lot of people back on this world again to do a similar thing. But I think the next time I do it, I might try and get more people in so we can get more voices going, and also just hear from Brian and Jack and them why they built things the way they did. But I think that's probably going to be it for longer videos like this. At the end of this, it ended up being like an hour and a half of recorded footage. I'm going to try and cut that down because I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like watching myself talk for an hour and a half, so I can't imagine any of you want to listen to me talk for that long. But, yeah, that's the world. That's what we've been doing on the realm so far. I wanted to give everyone a sort of good overview of it so they could see what it looked like. I'm back in my starting position for where I was for the day. And so, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have been enjoying the Minecraft series we've done so far. Like I said, we're going back to normal videos next week where we'll probably be building stuff. And I'll tease now, the next event that's actually going to be happening on the world that's going to pull people in is going to happen in March. I wanted to sort of do a cool little scavenger hunt around the world just based off of Easter eggs and things that are built. And I was thinking of doing a sort of Riddler-based thing to kind of coincide with the new Batman movie since he's the villain in it. So in March, we'll probably have I'm going to call it a Riddle Me This event, where we're just going to do a scavenger hunt across the world. So I will see you guys next week in the next building video, and hopefully you guys can stop by for that event when we do it in March.